Good evening and welcome to Diggers and Dozers Live. I'm your host, as always, Mark Anthony. And tonight we're going to try and unpick the true state of the UK construction industry as it emerges, blinking into the light of the post-lockdown period. And we'll be right back to do precisely that after this. Now, say what you like about the recessions of old, but at least you knew where you stood with them. An economist somewhere sneezed and the entire sector came down with a cold, crawling under the nearest rock for months and even years while market sentiment recovered and confidence returned. Where we are today looks and feels very different to that. Now, for one thing, the cause of our current predicament, if indeed it is a predicament, is not a case of the economic sniffles. This time it was caused by a genuine medical emergency. But it's the industry's reaction to that emergency that has been equal parts surprising, confusing, fascinating, and downright baffling at times. Back in March, when the coronavirus took hold, the sector reported almost £8 billion worth of new contract awards in a single month. The following month, just as the lockdown came into effect, it exceeded that with an astonishing £9.7 billion. Now, set against an industry norm of around £4 billion per month, these figures would have been remarkable at any time. But against a backdrop of global pandemic, those figures were nothing short of miraculous. Now, in May and June, reality appeared to bite as the figures dipped below the £4 billion mark. But at the time of broadcast, the monthly figures for July have topped 4.8 billion. And with 3 days of the month remaining, there's every possibility that the figures might just creep past the £5 billion mark to signal yet another above average month. And elsewhere, the Construction Equipment Association reported a near 40% drop in new equipment sales during the first 5 months of the year. Although the same report also suggested that a recovery was now in effect. Similarly, a study of groundworkers carried out by Hudson Contract suggested that the house building sector was looking at what it described as a V-shaped recovery, in which the fortunes of the sector dip but then rise again very sharply. To try to put some flesh on all these bones, I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Rupert Craven of Ritchie Bros Auction House. Now, on the face of it, Rupert might seem like an odd choice to help pick through the industry's economics ups and downs. But in truth, Ritchie Brothers is an endless and often untapped source of industry insight. As a company, they see firsthand any upticks in equipment fleet disposals, and they will know instantly if equipment prices are softening or if demand for equipment has stalled. Rupert's been a guest on our Demolition Live show in the past, and he certainly knows his onions. So while I'm getting him on the show, take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Rupert Craven. I'm here at our Maltby auction site at Ritchie Brothers, and we're a month after our last auction. So we had our largest ever UK auction. £17 million worth of machinery was sold back in mid-June. Delighted to say a majority has been collected, paid for and moved out. And what that says to us is that we've got a really healthy industry and a really healthy market for both buying and selling. So from all those people who bought at the auction, around about 70% of the machinery left the UK and went outside to all over the world, mainly Europe, but also outside of them there. And those people selling machinery, 50% of our bidders were new bidders compared to a year ago. So it's great to see new people coming in and selling machinery, and mainly because they're wanting to change their fleets, they're wanting to add new machinery in for all these projects coming up. So at the moment, we've got a very healthy and a very stable used construction machinery market, which is only going to add to the prosperity of the UK construction industry as long as the government keeps investing in new projects around the UK.
Good evening, Rupert. I don't know how you managed to get from Maltby to be on camera here, but I do appreciate you giving up part of your evening. I'm trying to get a handle on just where the UK construction sector is at the moment. If you watch the news on the high street, you'd believe that we're already in a long, dark tunnel of recession. Yet here in construction, it seems that we're doing our level best to just ignore this and soldier on.
Well, nice to be with you this evening, Mark. How are you?
All well, thank you.
Yes, it is. Well, I went to Maltby last week and had a look around there. We've cleared out the auction after the mid-June auction that we had. It was our biggest ever that we'd had in the UK, £17 million worth of machinery sold. Around about 70% of that went out the UK. I think that's one of the really most important things that we have is a weak pound and for good exporting. So majority of the machinery we sell is more in demand out of the UK than it is in the UK, and it creates that vacuum that allows new machinery to come in. And as the new machines are bought for the projects that are on around there, then the old machinery can go out at good prices. And I think that's so important that both ends, the manufacturers, the prices of machineries is going up for whatever reasons from that. And if the used machinery is going up as well, then that keeps everything in balance for the rentals or for the contractors as they use the machinery. So yes, it's been a very interesting time. I spoke to you, I think, back in March, April time on one of your podcasts from there, and we've really seen that healthy price of used construction equipment carry on right the way through. We've just completed an auction last week in Moordyke. We sent quite a lot of machinery from the UK out there. That was around about 2,000 lots of mainly rental machinery, so sort of up to 13-ton telehandlers, rollers, dumpers, and small items. And again, very positive pricing, and no concern about the lack of demand or the lack of appetite for our buyers around Europe and around the world.
That's great to hear. Now, obviously, I think the Ritchie Brothers name is associated primarily with these huge equipment auctions that you host, both here and overseas, but you're also constantly working behind the scenes. So are you seeing a sudden surge in large-scale fleet disposals that might indicate a looming recession, or is that not the case at all?
No, from our point of view, unfortunately not. We're not seeing huge machinery packages come to the market. We're not seeing people panic and dispose of machinery. We're seeing fleets being utilised again, the utilisation going back up. Obviously, the low point in the beginning of April, but coming back to a level. It's not on par with last year, but it's definitely healthy going back from there. What we are seeing, and quite a key part of our job that we do, is assisting the manufacturers on valuations and underwriting machinery that comes back in as trade-ins, and they're definitely really busy. There's lots and lots of deals being talked about, customers discussing with manufacturers about whether they should be selling machines, investing in new machines, and going through from there. So although that's not transacting as yet, but that's still quite early. People have come back from furlough over the last month, really. So from that, but they're very busy. So I think that's a great indication that the market is strong and people are looking at investing, and they need more machinery for the jobs they've got coming on. So we've got lots of data in different ways, from our auction prices, or from things like that we carry out as a bit of a sideline to our main job from that. But it's showing that people are talking, people are interested in buying new machinery and investing in the construction in the UK.
Now, within that data you mentioned, I guess you must monitor sale prices very closely, particularly as we've just come off the back of one of your sales at your rapidly developing Maltby facility. Was there any indication that prices are softening, or that buyers were a little more reluctant to spend?
No, exactly the opposite, really. That really shows that some of the key areas, that the most simple areas, the sort of the 1.5, 3, 5 ton excavators, very much in demand. That's something that also the price point is something that everybody can afford in there. So we're seeing great demand in that. But also right the way up, we sold the largest item was a 90-ton crane. That got good prices through from there. The excavators up to large size, the dump trucks, the dozers, all really had a lot of price improvements over the last couple of auctions, and I'd almost say that they are up compared to this time last year, which is really quite amazing. But it just shows that with the lack of new machinery going in, and everybody has been a bit hesitant over that over the last 5 months, and I think you were mentioning some stats about that, that really does create more of a demand for used machinery. And it leads on to the fact that you can buy and resell the same item of used machinery as long as you don't do too much work on it, and the condition stays the same, for pretty much the same price, as long as the market stays the same. So in that way, you can actually buy something and then move it to another auction a few months later and resell for really a very small amount of depreciation, which is very different to if you bought a brand new item and you wanted to dispose of that within a few months of buying it.
Absolutely. Now, we've both mentioned your Maltby facility. That's in the midst of a major redevelopment, which I guess also indicates your confidence in the future. Before we get into that, let's give people a very quick look at some of the demolition work that's going on as we speak. Quite enjoying the music there, actually. Now, I know that most of your most recent sale took place online, obviously to comply with social distancing guidelines. But the very fact that you're pressing ahead with your investment at Maltby really does suggest that you remain very, very upbeat about the future.
Definitely. I mean, the UK is, always one of the largest machinery and consumption markets in Europe. We've got a huge machine fleet in the UK, right the way across from small to large, and the rental fleets, are one of the largest in Europe by a long way. So for that reason, there will always be a lot of machinery in the UK. I think our operators and our contractors like to have young, good condition machinery, and definitely with the project starting up now, there's even more demand for high tech, good condition, young machinery to fit, whether that's emissions standards, whether that's machine control, whatever the reason is. From that, people are always updating their fleets to make sure that they are current and up to standard. So for that, there's a lot of machinery that comes out, and it's very interesting when you see other auctions around Europe and further afield, some quite different machinery, quite older machinery that goes through from there, but we have quite a young machine fleet and churn it quite regularly. So for that reason, there's always plenty to do here, and I think that's why we're very keen to invest for the next 10, 20 years in the UK and really develop things from there, because it's a great point of machinery to then push around the world.
Now, I must admit, I've been particularly impressed by the speed with which Ritchie Brothers pivoted to a fully online sales platform to support buyers and sellers. Despite the ongoing investment at Maltby, I guess that online sales is going to be an integral and possibly even a growing part of your business going forward, isn't it?
Yes, it always has been. Back in, I think, 2000, before my time, they launched rbauction.com. And we started up internet bidding, and all of the marketing and all of the machinery that you could go and view and look at is on there. Probably around about 2014, 15, we launched the TAL, the timed auction lots, about 5-6 years ago, and that was for all the small items. So we're always developing that. We have invested heavily in Iron Planet, which was the market leader in North America for online auctions and machine disposals in that way. So we've got to keep adapting our business all the time. We still keep on to the key things, which is having it in our yard, in our place, refurbing it well, making sure that it's easy for the buyer and the seller to operate out of that. But it's been, some businesses are always pushed, and that's definitely the time that we've been pushed into something different through this COVID. And it's actually been very successful for us. And the whole online auction with the timed auctions worked very well for all the auctions we've conducted around Europe, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, Holland, UK. Have all used the same system and really seen quite a development in it, which really helps. Which helps the buyers, mean that they can bid at any time while the auction's live. It means they've got extended bidding time, so that they don't get caught out just at the last minute. It means that the auction lots are tied together if there's similar types. So lots of different twists that we can do from it. But that's innovation. That's keeping it lively. That's why it's interesting. And that's why we can deliver a very good service to those who are selling or buying with us at auction.
Now, in preparation for tonight's chat, I did a bit of homework. I say I did homework. I didn't actually. I just listened to Peter Haddock's podcast over on Content with Media. But one of the things that stood out for me was the way in which you reported our American cousins use auctions rather differently to us. You were saying that they regularly buy a machine at auction for a special project or a specific project, use it for that project, and then once that project is over and done with, they will bring it back to auction and sell it on. We don't do that over here, do we?
No, well, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that Ritchie Brothers was so successful through the decades in North America. You know, again, they seem to have a tool for every job. From that, people do own a lot of machinery themselves and use it for the job and then stand it up. I think as times change there, the rental business gets stronger and stronger. We can see that in the fantastic share price of Ashtead and the growth we've seen in that over the last 10 years or so from there, as more and more people get into the rental business over in America. But still, there's plenty of machines that are there that use for a job and then put back into the auction and resold from that. And again, you know, they're moving their machinery, you know, hundreds if not thousands of miles sometimes for the job, which makes it far more advantageous to resell it rather than move it back again. And we can definitely see that in plenty of the auctions that are on at the moment. We've got a large auction down in Houston at the moment, Fort Worth, 4,500 lots there, and one up in Grand Prairie, up in Alberta, about 3,000 lots. They're both selling today in North America. So we're busy every day of the year.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Well, I say that, it depends what your answer is, I guess. In the news this week, there were reports that the Chancellor of the Exchequer is considering imposing a new tax on online sales. I know that's not firm news and it's currently just a proposal, but is that likely to impact upon Ritchie Brothers and its online empire?
Well, one for me to look into. Normally, I get the comments that we're the ones putting the tax on the sale of machinery through our commissions. But you know, if someone else is taking a cut of that, we'll definitely have to have a look into it. But no, I mean, there's always something different, isn't there? There was the whole thing about red diesel being the rebate on that being taken away, but that seems to have been put onto the back burner for the time being. But I think every opportunity to increase the tax revenues will be looked at around the UK. So nobody's safe, I don't think.
No, totally agree. Now, I do have a few more questions, but while we've been talking, we've had a fair few number of comments come in. One from our friend Nick Drew. Good time to be moving equipment on to gear up for the new. I think that would be music to your ears and possibly music to the OEM ears as well.
Yes, I think, you know, people are definitely looking at big fleets. You know, there's some really, really huge investments that are needed and that will go on in new machinery, whether that's this year or beginning of next year, but it's definitely probably in the next 6 to 9 months going from that. That's probably actually growth in fleets rather than replacements from that. But you know, there are some huge projects that need specific machinery and large quantities of it, which isn't really around in the UK at the moment.
Now, had another question in here from Peter Haddock. How do you get a valuation? What are the key things to look out for? Good question.
Well, we do it in the same way that we'd recommend to anybody from there, is really looking at the machinery that you've got to sell and what you want to actually look at to make that evaluation from there. There's plenty of information on the web. We provide the auction results from that. We're always happy to help actually do valuations for you and looking on from that. But it's really keeping an idea of what's happening in the market, where's things changing, what's the condition of the machine. You know, the right brands always keep the money, but also the lower hours. And we're looking at customers, you know, buyers particularly who want to buy decent machinery, aren't so worried about the age, but they're very interested in how well the machine's been looked after and what the hours are on it, and really can get some fantastic prices from machines that have been looked after very well and the hours are low compared to the age of the machine.
We've had another question here from Peter, and I think this is probably something that you picked up with him on his podcast. 50% new bidders in a pandemic. I wasn't aware of that, but that's a remarkable figure. You'd have thought that new bidders would have been as rare as hen's teeth, wouldn't you?
Yes, and I think that's a real testament to the online platform. It just makes it a lot more easy for people to actually come on to bid. You know, they don't have to actually attend the auction. They can go through, they can get online, they can look at machinery, they can register to bid in that way. And it really means that they can look for the machinery that's around. There's obviously a huge demand there. And that's obviously not just 50% from the UK, that's 50% from overseas as well, from all of our bidders that have gone from there. But it does show that people are very interested, really looking from that. We've seen growth really definitely over the last year, over the last 5 years of both buyers and sellers at the auction. So it's good to see that, and people are getting into the way of actually using that as a simple and easy and efficient way of transacting.
So 2 final questions, Rupert, before I let you actually get on with a proper evening. When is the next Maltby sale?
So we're gearing up now for the 17th and 18th of September. So that's, I think that'll be very interesting as we come out of the summer period. People do seem to be going on holiday and after the lockdown, so keen to get a break from that. And it always does feel like the start of a new term coming into September. So it'd be fascinating to see from that. We're already building up. We've got over 1,000 lots now in for that auction, and plenty of good deals on the table to look for machinery that's coming in. So yeah, that will be on the 17th and 18th. We'll be running that again on the timed auction lot system through from there as we have done. But that will be a real interest to see what happens, and then we'll have one more before the end of the year in Q4 before we finish 2020.
Finish 2020. There were times in the past few months I wasn't entirely sure we were going to make it that far. I guess the final question then, Rupert, before you do go and have your dinner, where can viewers find out more?
Well, as always, go to our website, rbauction.com. Lots of information on there. Go to Instagram, Facebook. We've got sites on there, our pages there. Put lots of information on from that, and get in contact with any of us at the team. We're always interested to talk and to advise on machinery, what's happening, and the right way to go about things. Because, as always, good data leads to good decisions.
That's a great note to end on, Rupert. Look, I'm going to let you get back to your evening. I look forward to speaking to you again very, very soon. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. All the best to you and to Ritchie Brothers, and I'll speak to you again very soon.
Thank you very much, Mark. Good night.
Now, there was another point coming here from Peter, which is a link to the podcast that I've referred to several times. I will actually put that in the description of the show when this goes over onto YouTube and to Facebook as well, so you can link over there. It is a very good show. I have to say, Peter does a remarkably good job of really sort of getting under the skin of the industry. So if you do get a chance, and if you are into podcasts, I would recommend you go and give him a listen. But to conclude this evening's show, I guess there you have it. Economists, government and the media and the high street are apparently determined to talk themselves into a recession. But over here in the construction arena, it appears we have no time for dips, declines and downturns. For all our sakes, I hope that's still the same when we look again at this next month. Now, if you found any of this useful, and I sincerely hope you did, you might like to know that I am scheduled to speak to Neil Edwards, CEO of marketing intelligence provider The Builders Conference, on Friday this week. That live discussion will be taking place at 11 a.m. on our Demolition News channels. And just one final thing before I let you all get back to your evenings. We are about to host, in fact, it's Thursday this week, we are hosting our big giveaway. We've got an absolute stack of merchandise, from models, jackets, hats, books, and Lord alone knows what else to give away. That show will take place right here at 6 p.m. on Thursday evening, at 6 p.m. UK time. No difficult questions, no sign up, just a big box of merch we'd like to send to a new home or several new homes. And we hope to see you there. Until then, thanks for watching. Before we sign off, I'm going to sign off with Ritchie Brothers playing us out.
Well, we've been running away doing our business, conducting the auctions either here or overseas. We've also been hard at work knocking down the old colliery buildings at Maltby. So I'm delighted to say all apart from one building has been knocked down. Everything else is gone. We've levelled the site, and now we're going to start crushing and screening the waste material so we can start building our site. We should be into it at the start of next year. We've got the rest of this year to do it, and behind us you can hear the saws working in our auction theatre, our auction officers working from that, converting the old mechanical warehouse store for the colliery into our offices. So for people bidding and using auctions in the UK with Ritchie Brothers, this is going to transform the experience that you've had with Ritchie Brothers over the last decade here in the UK. We're going to have a state-of-the-art auction facility with check-in, with refurb, with wash, with hard standing, covered area for small equipment, auction theatre, officers, and everything here on one site, safe and secure, here at Maltby. It's a 35-acre site, so we'll be exactly the same position as our other sites all around North America, Australia, through Europe, and running at a business exactly the same as what we've got there. So you can come and bid in comfort, you can have machines stored here, and we've got a really great facility to offer you first-class customer service.